Let's talk tax reporting because there's tax considerations when we're paying vendors, and there are some obligations that the company has that they need to file with the IRS if they pay certain vendors. So let's go through that. You need to issue 1099s for these type of vendors: sole proprietors, independent contractors, single member LLCs, partnerships, LLCs taxed as a partnership, anything that is not incorporated. So S corporations, C corporations, LLCs taxed as a corporation, those are not going to receive 1099s. The most common 1099 that you're going to issue is a 1099 NEC, non-employee compensation. Now, as of 2025, you need to issue a 1099 for $600 or more of vendor payments. And just to reemphasize, it's for non-incorporated vendors, sole proprietors, single member LLCs, partnerships, S corporations, C corporations. You do not need to issue them a 1099. There's no harm, no foul. If you do, you can issue them a 1099, but you really don't need to. Now, 2026 and beyond, these limits will increase to $2,000. And after 2026, it will be indexed for inflation. So each year we'll get a new 1099 limit that is base 2,000 and then adjusted for inflation. This is very much welcome because this amount hasn't been changed in a very long time. I don't know the exact year, but that's $600 has been there for a very long time and never adjusted. How will we know when to 1099 a vendor? This is where we're going to go back to the W-9 and look at the dirty details. What type of entity is our vendor? That is going to indicate whether or not we are going to 1099 that vendor. And we're not going to 1099 our vendors for everything. There's certain criteria that we need to look at to determine if that expense is 1099able. Advisory services from a consultant who's a single member LLC, we are going to 1099 those. Travel reimbursement for the consultant coming out to our location, not going to 1099 for those items. If you're buying goods from a supplier, not going to 1099 them. This is for non-employee compensation. You got to think, are they providing a service? Or are they selling you a good? Now, that's not comprehensive. There's a lot of things you should look to the IRS's website to determine. I'll leave a link in the description that'll take you to the IRS's website, and you can take a look at what items are 1099able and what items are not subject to a 1099. You have the tax ID information. You have figured out whether those transactions are 1099able. Now you want to look to your system and make sure you select all the necessary checkboxes or setup items so that your vendor will generate a 1099 at the end of the year when you need to generate 1099s. And here's QuickBooks as an example. I've entered the tax ID for my vendor, and I've checked the box that says track payments to generate a 1099 at the end of the year. So I got all my documentation related to tax IDs. I got my system configured to generate 1099s at the end of the year. By January 31st of the following year, I need to run all my 1099s. I'm going to send one copy to the vendor, and I'm going to send another copy to the IRS. And this is how the IRS matches up 1099s when that vendor files their tax return. I'm not going to go in great detail, but I did want to mention there's a couple other types of 1099s. 1099 MIS. This is the miscellaneous tax items. You can look and see what qualifies for a 1099 MIS. 1099 INT, this is for interest. 1099 DIV, this is for dividends. And 1099K, this is one of the newest 1099s. That is for third-party apps. If you receive compensation from a third-party app, you might end up getting a 1099K if you have tax reporting related to that vendor. I hope you learned something from this video. Have a good rest of the day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.